7.1 and 7.2 ahead of item 5, just so we can release the people joining us online. If somebody's in favor of that, do you want to move that we adopt the agenda as amended? All in favor? Carried. You have the minutes from the January 9th and 16th meetings. Somebody like to move adoption? All in favor? Carried. We've got no bylaws. So we will move on to 7.1, development permit, variance permit application.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The development variance permit application is to vary the FAR flow to the subdivision development servicing bylaw. We had one letter, one email, and a few phone calls and walk-ins asking questions. I believe everybody was satisfied with the responses, but the letter received will be attached to the minutes, and the applicants are here if council has any questions of them as well. And the recommendation is to approve the variance.
Any questions from council? And on this one, we go to people in. Any comment from the gallery on this? Going twice. Third time, any from the gallery? No. Then we will entertain a motion.
Motion to accept the.
Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Moving on to 7.2, parkland dedication.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This one is for the same development on Hargreaves Avenue. The report shows the parkland dedication the developer proposes, and the requirement is for 5%, and this lot is 6.2% dedicated as parkland to the district.
Any questions? Seeing none, does somebody want to move the recommendation? Seconder? Councilor Lozzie? All in favor? Carried. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. That was easy.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Okay.
Awesome. We will move back to 5.1 then. Darren, the floor is yours. Just push to talk.
Ooh, 21st century, awesome. So, hello, folks. Mr. Mayor, Council, pleasure to be back here. It's been a while, so in a whole different optics. It's great. Good to see some mix of the old and the new, and you can decide who's the old and who's the new amongst yourself. So I'm here tonight just to take a few minutes of your time. This is, I'm sure you've read the request that was in your agendas. I'm just here to comment to it a little more directly if there's some questions. Just a little background in terms of why I'm here. Traditionally, over the years, it was a communication between myself and the public works superintendent at the time to coordinate machines and the involvement from the District of Vanderhoof from Project Heavy Duty. The year of COVID, it was suggested I come and actually request this through this method, which was more than my pleasure to do so. Then COVID kicked in, and not just in addition to our Project Heavy Duty, but all of our projects and school-based initiatives and all the things associated with my portfolio as the career programs coordinator for SD91 were either put on hold or shuffled off to the side until a such date where we are today. So we are ramping back up all of our projects that have been siloed for the last several years. And so here I am tonight just to request the DOV's participation in Project Heavy Duty. I'm pretty confident most people around the room know what Project Heavy Duty is, so I don't have to give into the long background on it, but it is longest running project that we have as a school district. It is provincially recognized, and my Oh, Mark, perfect timing. So Mark Gauthier, Director of Instruction, so career programs reports to Mark. He's just here to make sure I don't get ahead of myself on the diving board, I suppose. But we have a buyback program. So it's a long running project. It's the longest one that we have as a school district. We operate or provide up to 6 different projects throughout the school district. The names give them away. We do a project agriculture, a project health, a forest management. We do a STEAM one with UNBC. They're there to provide students those opportunities that everyone's asking for in the current world we live in terms of hands-on activities. Hear it straight from the horse's mouth, for lack of a better word, so out of the classrooms, and give them a sense if this is something they would like to do as a career path. It doesn't necessarily mean we're making more skidder operators and feather buncher operators, but it certainly gives the students an opportunity to experience that in a small form, to see as something they would enjoy doing or potentially look to do as a career path. It's not specific to feather bunchers and bunchers and so forth. So I said that twice, skidders. So it's just an opportunity to run some heavy equipment. DOV has provided in the past 3 pieces of equipment for the 2 days. We used to run it for 4 days and got to the point where let's just get down to the core ask, and that's the students want to get on pieces of equipment. And they range everywhere from helicopters to dump trucks to logging trucks to graders. Those even may have been there. I wish I probably could have shared some pictures, but the name gives it away. It's everything heavy duty equipment you can possibly think of. And local players, in addition to yourselves, have always participated and come forward, which is a real northern phenomenon, if I can say that right. Whereas other jurisdictions, they can't get these off the ground because everyone wants a cost or a bill associated with it. So a fellow from down south years ago came up and tried to cost it out, and working with their associations, it'd be $60,000 to run a project of what we do over a 2-day period. So we count on in-kind contributions, we count on donations, we count on partners such as the Vanderbilt Co-op or Four Rivers Co-op, who donate us 1,000 liters of fuel, the Sinclair Group, who donate us 1,000 liters of fuel. So we try and mitigate the costs as much as we can. We realize these are for-profit businesses and they're not doing work those 2 days, but they factored into their planning. And I work with Chad, with your approval, hopefully at some point in the near future, that we run it around breakup as best we can. And we all know how that's a bit of a moving target. So once we have a sense of this is the day we're going to shoot for, articulate that out to Chad in this example, and with as much notice, 5 to 6 weeks lead time, of course, and that allows some planning to take place. And then curveballs always come up in life, but that's sort of the rolling ball or ball in the air I'm dealing with when a project of this nature. So that's kind of it. Not to suck the air out of the room here. It's a great piece for the DOV. It's a great piece for community partners, and it's a great piece for our kids from our community. So in my letter I shared with you, there's a number of other partners that have been there since day one, and the DOV has been that partner as well. So with my career programs hat, we do work together on a whole bunch of other initiatives beyond Project Heavy Duty, and they're in that list there I provided to you. I know there's others beyond that list, but with Darren's hat, that's kind of the ones I work with the District of Vanderbilt in various ways over the years. And so the partnership is there, and the obvious common sense stuff is there, I guess I'd argue too. So open the floor to questions. Hopefully I didn't speak too fast. I apologize for that if I did.
Councilor Vandola.
Thanks, Darren. That was awesome. Only question I have is how many kids are currently participating in the program?
So 24 is our magic number. So we use that for all of our projects. That's easy groups. So a day, for example, Project Heavy Duty, we shoot for 12 pieces of equipment, and the kids will rotate 6 each day. And so 24 in a long-winded way.
Councilor Martins.
Thanks. Yeah, great presentation, Darren. My own question was kind of related to what Councillor Vandola was saying too, was why did it go from 4 days to 2 days? Is that just because not enough participation, or?
It was a
just
big
harder
ask.
to organize?
Thanks, Ernest. Sorry to interrupt you. It was a big ask on students' time too. So it's 4 days away from school. And so
Okay.
it was, so we used to incorporate a piece where we go to Prince George and talk to the folks at Caterpillar, go to the John Brinks Training Center and talk to the folks at CNC. But that was trades. So we actually developed a project trades now. We just cut away the the non-equipment piece. So we have students who would sign up for Project Heavy Duty who are just being a mechanic. So I understand, you still work on machines, but we figured we had enough kids moving forward that we could actually make a project trades for kids who want to be a mechanic or a millwright. And then those students who signed up for Project Heavy Duty were the kids that wanted to be heavy duty equipment operators. So it was kind of a mix of the two. And then also just some cost and time on our partners in terms of the big, we are asking for quite a bit of time. So we thought 2 days, we get down to the core of it, get it done, so to speak. And then our follow-up, just so it's not just a 2-day go play in the pit sort of mentality. So each of the kids that go there, it's our job, the school-based coordinator's job is to follow up with those students and say, any of that resonate with you in terms of what do you think of driving that dump truck? Oh, I liked it. Okay. Then it's our job to try and reach out to those companies after the fact and say, can we set up a more lengthy job experience with that company and that operator? So obviously they can't drive a truck when they're 16, but they can definitely go and work along and drive along with that person for the day or two. Kind of give it a sense of, it's easy to get on anything for an hour, but driving a skidder for 14 hours a day and 6 days a week, that's a little different animal. So can we get kids out to landings and try and be exposed to that work environment? We can. It's just more that follow-up. So the projects are all about lead them to water, lack of an old adage, and we hope some kids decide to drink from it. And then if they do, we can definitely lead them to those other connections in the community. And that's specific to Vanderbilt all the time too. Sometimes, it involves Prince George or Fort St. James or Fraser Lake.
Yeah, thanks.
Councillor Bulmer.
Thanks, Darren. I don't know how to run a mic. Thanks, Darren. Good presentation and a compliment. I've been involved or I've come out to the Project Heavy Duty site many times over the years, and it's absolutely a terrific program. Do you guys do any kind of tracking to find out that did kids follow up on it? Do you know of any, or do you do any kind of tracking along those lines?
Good question. How many years you ran radio in terms of a mic?
This is new technology. Okay. I don't know.
Those big silver things, right? Good question, Tom. I get asked this a lot, and yes and no. So we don't track them because once they leave high school, it's tough to follow up on that student and, where have you gone in life? And we get that for, okay, you're doing a Project Health. We know with, Dr. Fry, he did Project Health, and not say that turned him into the doctor he is today, but it's all very anecdotal in terms of our small community. So I can reference a bunch of people I know who took Project Heavy Duty or you have a couple working for you right now on the DOV staff. In fact, I think the Weens boys or boy, is there just one, was a participant, but I think he was hard coded to run some sort of piece of equipment anyways. And that's kind of the ilk of some of the students that apply for Project Heavy Duty. But we also want to bring some students who are just curious to kick the cat in terms of this might be something I would like to do. So it's just as powerful to bring those students. But in terms of raw numbers, no, I can't answer that. Say we have 72% success rate in terms of we have these guys are now in the field. It's just that whole lead you to water philosophy. Then I rattle off 10 or 12 people at the top of my head if I had time to make a list that I know are running equipment nowadays.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Darren? Is that a yes? Okay.
Ken can't ask you in conflict of interest. So.
I just want to add though to, not only is there a lot of students have gone through it, they've gone on into careers there, but it's always been really neat to see the amount of former students who are actually the ones now training the younger ones on site who've full circle now, right? They've come back and now are the ones that are actually mentoring the new students out there. So that's pretty cool. We've seen that happening.
Councillor Martins.
I have an example of that too, just continue along those lines. I know I worked at Project Heavy Duty way back in its initial stages in the truck driving part of it. And I since then have trained lots of those, so there is absolutely follow up. Nobody's tracking it, but they're excited, but they all remember that. So I think it's great for sure.
And so they stay here. Almost I planned that.
You bet. Just a comment from me. I would encourage you to keep in mind Artemis goal to, even if they can't bring a piece of equipment, they can maybe bring some money or some information, just so we make sure that students are aware that that's a career path that can be coming up fairly soon, right?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. And yes, so our partners, Centerra, are as part of that equation as well. And Artemis is always on the hit list in terms of we do have some work with them to do. We stayed out of the way a little bit, just more of an FYI, and the relationship with the school district and Artemis was, and priorly New Gold, was stay out of their way initially when they're trying to get their mine, all those permitting processes and get things set up. And we have great ideas and plans on how to get kids out to those mine sites and do apprenticeships. We just got to wait until they're ready to say we're ready to do that. So we have a great project called Mighty Next with Centerra, which we can copy and paste at some point. And it doesn't always relate to equipment operation. It's this, everyone's got this mindset of, mine trucks and coal dust kind of mentality, right? Whereas there's shipping receivers, there's a front office accountant folks, there's all the moving parts of a modern mine. So there's a booklet, I don't know if you've seen it, that New Gold put out a number of years ago, and it has all the careers and jobs associated with that facility. And so we're in close contact as we can, Mr. Mayor, in terms of exactly that. So they should be, well, not they should be, but should be one of the first people they talk to in terms of how do we get prospective new employees. Well, I was picking on the Germans in a good way. Industry is way more embedded with education there than they are here. As talked to Councilor Lozay about that. And it only takes one or two companies to figure that out, in terms of this is where there's a ready source of potential employees, not so much of grabbing guys off the street, which is becoming harder and harder, but grabbing these kids in grade 10 and 9 and even introducing these kind of concepts to them in grades 5 and 6. And before you know it, they're graduates and they're looking for a job. And how can they segue to this company? So long-winded way of saying, yes, we are talking with Artemis.
Awesome. And of course, there's always the exploration side of mining as well too, right?
Absolutely. And the rehabilitation piece,
yeah,
of course.
Awesome. We won't be considering this tonight. Best practice is to do it another night. Just wanted to mention though, before you leave, we are trying to streamline our requests like this with a grant and aid request that comes in before October 31st. So if we can try and get on that stream, it just makes it easier us to fire all that into budget.
Yeah, absolutely. So whatever protocol we want moving forward, and
yeah,
it's one of those, you'll see me every year, I guess.
Exactly.
But not a problem. Love to come and talk, and people change, and not everyone has there's obviously a groundswell of information already. Chad's writing furious notes, so he's on top of it.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you, Darren.
You didn't follow up with that. Get up with that. Be on your building.
Great. Do we have Ash here? Do we know?
Robin Work is away and Ash was going to be here, but I see he's not here, but his report is in there and he'll be back in 3 months because he does this, they do it quarterly. So if you have any questions, you can either pass them through me or email Ash directly.
Awesome. Anybody have anything they wanted to bring out of that, or we just move forward?
Only thing I noticed in the list is like for every kind of quarter, the number of truck drivers that are required. It's just, that was, of all the occupations they list there, that was, you always hear that there's a trucker shortage, but to actually see the number of actual jobs that are being, their employers are looking for these individuals, and you kind of like, okay, yeah, I guess there's a trucker shortage, right? So yeah, that was interesting to see.
Go ahead, Councillor Martins.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, Councillor Vandola. We hear that all the time. And I was just curious about, I happened to be gone last week, but CNC is running a big program right now with their truck driver program. And I was surprised maybe that DOV wasn't at that, kind of had an open house thing the other day. There would have been probably a good thing. I wish I'd have been there for that too, but nobody else was there that we know.
No, I missed that somehow.
Yeah, I was just curious because that's related to that same request you talked about there, so. We're working on it.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Moving on to number 6, any public comment for items not on the agenda? Take that as a no. 7, CAO reports. We've done 7.1, we've done 7.2, so moving on to 7.3. NKDF grant application.
I'm looking for approval for submission of the 2 grants that are listed here to the Nechako Kitimat Development Fund.
Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll move that we approve both of the grant opportunities. Doing those both together?
Seconder, Councillor Martins. Any questions or discussion?
I just
Councillor
want to
Bundle.
say, the playground equipment in Furland, a bunch of that equipment's probably 60 years old. So yeah, we're well due of getting that replaced. And actually those swings have been there a long time, but even with the age of them, I'm amazed at how well they've held up all these years. So it's, well needed there. There's the monkey bars there, they're dangerous and need to be removed.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. December 2022 building permits.
That's just an information item for council,
Mhm.
checklisting as well.
And then we have the checklisting. Anybody have any questions coming out of that or anything? Okay. Councillor items. Let's start with Councillor Vandola.
It went off. Yeah, so we had a meeting with the Airport Society and some of the airport tenants out there. And yeah, it was a good discussion. And I think at the end of it, I think we were all pretty much on the same page and and we're looking forward to working together and creating another meeting going forward to hash out some of the things we talked about. So that's good.
Great. Councillor Bulmer.
So I've been in touch with the Vanderhoof District Chamber of Commerce, and I'll be following up with that and starting to go to their meetings now. I went to the Nechako Valley Historical Society meeting last week. It was pretty short and sweet. They're just kind of wrapping up Christmas thing, and there was a lot of discussion around the Christmas display that was there over the holidays that a lot of people did take in and did see.
Awesome. Councillor Martins.
I just wanted to say thanks to Chad and his crew we did that tour, a few of us a couple of weeks ago there. I was gone last week, so I don't know. It feels like 2 weeks ago, whenever it was when we did the tour for the Public Works. But I was really impressed in your crew and then, the knowledge of the people and kind of the great system you have in place there. So I just it was really, really informative for me. I think, I learned lots that day. So just wanted to say thanks for that.
I want to second that. I've been in this town for 42 years and there was stuff on that quick tour that I knew nothing about. So it was very informative and I was really impressed with the whole crew and the whole way it's set up. Thank you very much.
Through the mayor and council, you're welcome.
Councillor Lozey.
Okay, so I'm gonna just reiterate what you guys have said about the tour, the facility tour. It was really enlightening. So I appreciate that because I know it took a lot out of your days. But I also attended a library board meeting, and the CALP program is going strong. Again, and a lot of interest, particularly folks that are new Canadians. So a lot of strong interest there. And the library board has the library has hired 3 casual employees, which is working out really well for them. That's been a really lovely way for them to to fill in some of the gaps. So, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I think Tom and I tag team one meeting as soon as you left to go to another one. I came in at the tail end and also didn't have a follow-up as well after that with some members there. So that was good. And I think the next thing on the docket is we're discussing holding our next housing meeting. So that's coming up fairly quickly. I haven't set a date, but we're going to do that very soon.
Great to hear. Last week, I was at the Resources Forum 3 days, three very full days. A couple of offsite meetings the first day with Northern Medical Programs Trust in the morning, then Artemis Gold in the afternoon, which was really good. They had Stephen Dean up, so great to actually meet him in person and have a chat there. I think it was a very worthwhile conference. I've relayed to staff. I think next year I'd like to take a couple of councillors along with me. There was definitely a lot of opportunity there to meet and talk and promote Van Hoof. We did have an issue. It was a late registration for me, so there wasn't any banquet or meal tickets available. Rio Tinto had 2 sick people, so they did give me tickets to the banquet and again, that wasn't a monetary thing, but they had tickets available that weren't going to get used, so I took one set and the RD took another. Good. That's really what I have to report right now. It's been a busy few weeks, but go forward with that. Okay. Correspondence. We have a letter from News asking for a letter of support. Somebody like to make a recommendation around that?
I would move that we write a letter of support on behalf of News to continue the work in the area.
Seconder? Councilor Vandola, all in favor? Carried. Okay, and the second one, I'm still getting used to flicking back and forth here. We have the request coming from Kathy towards the Stewart and Nechako bus. Would anybody like to make a suggestion around that?
Only question I had is that she added a couple of options within, and I thought she probably should have been more succinct in what she actually wanted instead of saying, oh, maybe we could get this from you guys, but maybe we'll talk to Dale Martins and you know, for me personally, I think we want to support them, but then I think, you know, maybe she should figure out all the other potential funding opportunities and then bring it, when she's finished all that, then come to see us is what I would like to see.
I would agree. What I would maybe encourage, I mean, we've got a motion on the table. Why don't we have a seconder and then we can maybe form an amendment if we want to. Okay, Councillor Lozay. What I would encourage, and Margaret and I were talking this morning about some potential grant opportunities in that. If we want to say that we're willing to cover it, why don't we say we are, but we would like you to look at other opportunities first and we'll hit the shortfall. It is, if that sounds good, does somebody want to make a move that amendment?
I'll move the amended motion.
Okay. This is discussion time.
Okay, so I know when we presented them with the check and there was conversation around that. We also found out at that time there might be a shortfall. And we did ask them to come back to us to see us to finish this off. So I like the idea of finishing off, focusing on the bus piece, but asking them where they're at when somebody mentioned there are other opportunities, but not have them go away for a long time to do that, because I think at that time we had suggested that we would like to make sure this happens. So right now, I would hate anything to hold up the process, because we were hoping they would have something by now. And of course, everybody knows when you order these buses, it takes a long time and a lot of things are going on. But I would like us just to finish that off. I don't think we need to look at shelter or anything else. Ask them where they're at with that fundraising. If they said, look, we've exhausted everything, then just let us finish that. That's what I would like to see after, because we had that previous conversation.
I'll just quickly speak to that. The bus is ordered. It was ordered December 20th, later than we were told by Northern Health, but it is ordered and on the way. And I agree with you. I wouldn't either want to make them work too hard or going forward. But if we can find another grant or two in there, we might as well save the taxpayer while we can. Okay, so voting on the amendment. All in favor? Okay, now on the motion, all in favor? Carried. Okay, so do we should have a motion to go in camera on, no? All right. Okay. Okay, so I'll declare the regular meeting adjourned.